I'm David Gambrel, Lincoln County PVA. I'm here to tell you today that you have $6 million. Does that excite you? Does that get your attention? Immediately, if I told you that, you would begin to think, what can I do with all that money? You would think about all the things that you could acquire or you invest in. All the benefits you could get from $6 million. But what if I, in the same breath, told you that you have $6 million, but you can do nothing with it? But, you do still have to pay taxes on it. Well, that is exactly the situation that we have right here in Lincoln County, Kentucky, with a phenomenon known as Heirs Land. And by heirs land, I mean property that was bought sometimes 150 years ago, 100 years ago, but because of different circumstances and situation, the heirs, it's never been passed on down. The title has never been put into the current generation of the family. And so as a result, they don't get what's called the bundle of rights. The bundle of rights are sixfold. There's a right to use. There's a right to sell. There's a right to rent or lease. There's a right to enter or leave, to give away, or to choose to do nothing. Now, most of us take for granted our property rights. If we decide we want to build an extra room on and we don't have the money in the bank, we go to the bank and we say, I want to improve my property. And so I want to borrow money. Or maybe we buy a piece of vacant ground and we go to the bank and say, I want to build a new house on this land that I bought. And we borrow the money. Well, heirs land families are denied those rights and those benefits that you may take for granted. And as a result, they are being denied the American dream. The American dream is homeownership. It is the way that nearly all Americans, everyone listening, all Kentuckians, build equity and wealth. And it's being denied to them because it's titled in great-grandfather's name. And in fact, one dear friend of mine was raised on a piece of property in Boneyville, Kentucky, named for Napoleon Bonaparte Hayes, who served in the 12th U.S. Colored Heavy Artillery in the Civil War. And after the war, Boney Hayes came and with the money he had gotten as a Union soldier, bought 15 acres of land. And that was 1867. And my friend, who was raised on that property, that was the last fee simple deed to that real estate. And it's been passed on down generation after generation. So they can't build new homes. They can't substantially improve existing homes on the property. And so as a result, they aren't building wealth. You may be listening to this and say, well, what's that to me? Well, it affects everybody because nothing that happens with property happens in a vacuum. It affects all of us. In 1978, the Kentucky General Assembly passed the most taxpayer-friendly piece of legislation probably in the history of our Commonwealth, something called House Bill 44. And in that legislation, it said as property values rise, tax districts have to live within their means. And they can only increase their revenues by a certain percentage because they could see, our General Assembly could see that because of steadily rising, exorbitant property taxes, that people were losing this right of home ownership. As a result, the state tax rate on real estate in Kentucky in 1978 was 31.5 cents. For 2020, the rate was 12.2 cents. That has saved Kentucky taxpayers since 1978 nearly $8 billion in taxes. Well, how does this apply? Well, if property is not being improved, it's hard for it to go up in value. And so if this heirs land if the heirs of the heirs land were getting the same benefits that you and I do in their property, they could be improving that property with new homes. They could be improving it by selling to someone for a profit, as perhaps many of you do. And as those values go up, it eases the tax burden on all of us. We all gain. The only losers with the passage of Senate Bill 43, which is the Heirs Land partition bill submitted by Senator Reginald Thomas, the only losers in that are those who, by unscrupulous means, would want to steal away land that people's ancestors paid for. I urge you, in my 22 years as Lincoln County PVA, this is a moment in history that we have the opportunity to pass legislation that empowers Kentuckians. And so I hope and I pray that Senate Bill 43 will become law in this great Commonwealth of Kentucky. Good day.